The movie begins in the intimate setting of a bedroom, where Rachel ponders her expectant abdomen while facing a mirror. Suddenly, she jolts awake, acknowledging the fleeting nature of the vivid dream. Embarking on her day, she partakes in a breakfast prepared by her intelligent home and undergoes her routine gut intelligence test. Elena, the cognitive AI assistant, detects a decline in Rachel's serotonin levels and recommends a nature pod session. However, Rachel dismisses the suggestion due to her demanding work schedule. Later, she rouses her husband Alvy and informs him of her departure. On her train journey, she encounters a woman adorned with an artificial womb pod. Simultaneously, Alvy tends to his morning duties in their apartment's greenhouse, nurturing plants. At the office, Rachel spearheads the presentation of cutting-edge cognitive assistant ICE named Mashes. Following the presentation, the HR director beckons Rachel into her office, disclosing news of her promotion. Inquiring about Alvy's profession, the HR director hints at the benefits of starting a family, especially with the womb center now under Pegasus ownership. The company even offers to cover the down payment for conception. In her office, Masha schedules a nature pod session for Rachel during lunch. Unexpectedly, a call from the womb center informs her of an available spot and requests her to secure it by calling back and arranging a tour. Upon making the call, they settle on a Thursday tour, thrusting Rachel into a world where technological advancements intersect with the personal choices surrounding parenthood. The woman indulges in a serene nature pod session, envisioning herself cradling a baby on the beach. Meanwhile, in his workplace greenhouse, Alvy's students hesitate to taste a freshly picked fig, accustomed to machine-manufactured food. That afternoon, Rachel confides in her colleague Alice about securing a spot at the womb center. Celebrations are suggested, but Rachel, uncertain of how to broach the topic with Alvy, admits they're still on the wait list. After work, Rachel turns to her AI therapist, Eliza, expressing concern about Alvy's desire for a natural child. Eliza reassures her that a baby grown in an artificial pod is just as natural as one in a human uterus. At a breathing bar, Alice advises Rachel to talk to Alvy before Thursday's tour. At home, Rachel begins the conversation, but Alvy reflects on his student's initial reluctance to nature, highlighting the emotional void created when nature becomes commodified. Thursday arrives, and Rachel attends the womb center tour alone. The Pegasus founder's video emphasizes empowering women's careers without hindering them with demanding pregnancies, addressing the declining birth rate in first world countries. Womb Center director Linda Waschek warmly welcomes clients, initiating the tour. In the incubation room, she showcases a pod with a developing baby, demonstrating how clients can use their devices to expose the child to various audio stimuli. Linda elaborates on customizing the baby's diet flavors and mentions the POD's autonomy for up to 48 hours when disconnected, ideal for travel. Responding to Rachel's inquiry, Linda confirms that the baby can hear the outside world in utero, encouraging communication. Later, Linda requests a deposit from Rachel to confirm her interest. That evening, Alvy discovers an $8,700 notification and suggests notifying the bank. Rachel confesses to making the transfer after the tour, revealing she had placed them on a waitlist the previous year. Upset, Alvy expresses disappointment at being kept in the dark about the tour and the decision to grow their child in a pod. Rachel apologizes, explaining her desire for a shared experience. To ease his concerns, she proposes consulting friends Alice and Ben for insights into the pod-grown child experience. On the following evening, Ben showcases his pod carrier while Alice extols the benefits of growing a baby in a pod, emphasizing equal childcare responsibility. When asked about taking the tour, Rachel fabricates uncertainty. Alvy declines the opportunity to hold the pod, still cautious about the procedure. Back at the apartment, Alvy expresses concerns about the POD's material, but Rachel reassures him, prioritizing the baby's perception over the POD's texture. Yearning for more time to decide, Alvy discusses his apprehensions during a therapy session with Eliza, whom he perceives as lacking a soul and understanding of human emotions. After the session, he lies to Rachel about having a positive conversation. At a restaurant, Alvy continues listing concerns, leading to Rachel suggesting they abandon the idea. Following an intimate moment that night, Alvy changes his mind, realizing the importance of the decision to Rachel. The next day, they meet with Linda, who raises the question of Alvy's biological connection to the baby. Confused, Rachel explains that Rachel's ovum and skin cells are sufficient for conception, eliminating the need for male DNA donation. Linda informs the couple that for a son, they'd need Alvy's Y chromosome. Rachel promptly asserts Alvy as the father, agreeing to let nature determine the gender. Nervously, they watch the fertilization of the ovum, guided by Linda's narration. Post-successful insemination, Linda congratulates the expectant parents. A worker shows them the zygote in a canister. A call from Rachel's parents follows, with her father suggesting selling property on Shell Island for financial support. Despite Alvy's reservations, Rachel dismisses the topic. In the ensuing days, Rachel monitors the baby's progress on her devices, handling feedings. When Alvy initiates intimacy, Rachel requests a few weeks' reprieve due to baby-related preoccupations. Rachel invites Alvy to listen to the baby, but he dismisses it, considering it too early. In the incubation room, Rachel asks to see the baby, discovering it's kept in darkness until the first heartbeat. A pod beeps, indicating readiness for delivery based on detected proteins and hormones. The nurse explains the due date is an estimate, emphasizing nature's role. That night, Rachel dreams of a unique birthing experience, reflecting the anticipation and complexity of their parenthood journey. The following day, Rachel confides in Eliza about her recent peculiar dreams, and the AI reminds her not to rely on dreams as reliable analytical material. Weeks later, the couple listens to the baby's heartbeat, and Linda informs them about taking the pod home for 2 weeks at 6 months of gestation. They open the tiny viewing window, marveling at the embryo. Months later, Alvy suggests adding a live plant to the baby's room, but Rachel prefers a hologram version. Offended, Alvy exits the room, leading to a discussion about selling the Shell Island property, which Rachel proposes. Alvy insists on a more natural upbringing and expresses discomfort with the baby pod in their living room. At the public pool, Rachel has a touching moment with a pregnant woman, feeling the baby kicking. That evening, Alvy is unsettled by the baby's pod in the living room, but Rachel believes it's essential for their home. During intimacy, Alvy is troubled by the pod's presence and moves it to the nursery, emphasizing the inevitability of their child facing challenges in life. The couple grapples with the complexities of preparing for parenthood in a technologically advanced world. As they prepare for bed, the pod emits a noise, prompting them to rush back to the nursery. Alvy accuses Rachel of neglecting to feed the baby, but she reminds him of his equal responsibility. The next day, they visit Pegasus Company's school, where Linda addresses concerns about babies born in the womb center lacking dreams, attributing it to a side effect they are working on. Alvy tends to the pod in the apartment greenhouse, ensuring it is well fed and exposed to soothing whale sounds. Meanwhile, in the office, Masha notes Rachel's decreased productivity. In the coming weeks, Alvy carries the pod around the city, reading books aloud to the baby. His boss announces the downsizing of the greenhouse, suggesting holograms as replacements, which distresses Alvy. Emotional after watching a penguin documentary, Alvy rejects Rachel's suggestion of returning the pod early, expressing the positive impact it has had. During pod cleaning, Rachel discovers dirt, expressing concerns to her friends at Alice's house. Despite worries about Alvy's enthusiasm, the women reassure her. That night, Rachel dreams of the pod no longer being beside her, emphasizing the emotional complexities of their journey into parenthood. In a state of panic, she searches the room, only to stand in front of the mirror and find her pregnant belly. Days later, Alvy introduces attachment therapy through books from his mother, emphasizing spending time with the baby for empathy development. Rachel counters that the purpose of a pod baby is detachment, but Alvy acknowledges differing perspectives. Rachel, feeling overwhelmed, suggests speaking to Eliza. In therapy, she discusses the challenge of adjusting to a life revolving around the pod, expressing her struggles with bonding compared to her husband. Alvy proposes more alone time with the baby, but Rachel questions her readiness for motherhood. She attempts to carry the pod in public, facing judgment. Bringing it to work, Alice warns about potential backlash and directs Rachel to a room for pods. After a workshop at the womb center, the couple places their pod back in the incubation room, realizing the void without it. Loneliness ensues, prompting a dream of holding a baby on a beach. The next day, she visits the apartment greenhouse, bringing joy to Alvy by placing a plant in the nursery. In the office, the HR director discusses Rachel's decreased productivity, with Rachel denying any signs of depression. Subsequently, the couple meets with Linda to discuss their preferred induced birth date. Rachel explains the high demand for pods, leading to the need for induction at 39 weeks. Linda clarifies the rule against keeping the pod at home until birth, detailed in the signed contract's fine print. Exiting the building, Alvy instructs Rachel to wait outside, setting the stage for the couple's critical decisions and the complex challenges they face in the journey toward parenthood. Returning to the nursery, Alvy decides to take matters into his own hands and secretly takes their pod. After Rachel dreams of bringing a baby home from a supermarket, she excitedly proposes going to Shell Island for the birth, expressing a desire to avoid the womb center for their child's first moments. When Alvy speaks to Linda about their unconventional plan, he emphasizes Rachel's bonding phase. However, Linda insists that the pod should have stayed in the facility, highlighting the womb center's ownership. Alvy argues that the baby is under their jurisdiction, but Linda firmly asserts the POD's status as the womb center's property. Admitting consideration of a home birth, Alvy and his wife confront Linda's caution, who emphasizes the need for a self-generated birth code and advises against the plan. Undeterred, the couple persists with their decision to go to Shell Island. In the final days of gestation, they find solace in the peaceful cabin near the beach, spending precious moments with the pod. One night, a glitch emerges as the POD's base fails to turn on. Alvy realizes the womb center remotely disconnected their access, causing concern. To reassure his worried wife, he highlights the 48 hours of autonomy, emphasizing the need to trust that the baby is ready for birth within that time frame. The following day, the pod signals that the baby is ready for birth. Rachel attempts to use the baby's conception date as the birth code, but it proves ineffective. In a moment of panic, Alvy proposes breaking the device open with tools. After removing the screw top, they realize the opening is too small for the infant. Determined, Alvy decides to pry the two halves open. Following this unconventional method, Rachel wraps their child in a towel, and the couple shares a loving gaze at their newborn. The day after, Rachel packs the now empty pod in a box and bikes to town, dropping it off at the post office. After completing the errand, she joyfully returns to the cabin, happily lying down next to her child and husband.